The wind rustled the leaves, making the trees collide with each other. The night was grim and silent. On the outskirts of a small town stood the studio of the renowned painter. Jonathan was an artist who depicted mysterious and dark subjects in his paintings. His works had a quality that instilled a mix of fear and awe in people. One day, a young man arrived in town and commissioned a portrait from Jonathan. What made it intriguing was the young man's request. He wanted his face to fade into the darkness, except for his eyes shining through. Jonathan accepted this peculiar request and got to work. He began staying in his studio at nighttime, seemed to slip away as he crafted this enigmatic portrait that drew his soul. However, strange things started happening in town. As he worked on the painting, people went missing, and eerie sounds echoed through the houses. Jonathan didn't think it could be related. He was solely focused on his art. One night he dreamt that the eyes in the peculiar portrait were shining. Upon waking up, he rushed to the studio and gazed at the painting. Indeed, the eyes were glowing, as if holding some inner energy. However, this time, the face of the young man in the painting had vanished, leaving only the glowing eyes suspended in emptiness. A dark entity entered Jonathan's room, slowly merging into the painting. It was shapeless and mysterious, yet recognizable by the gleaming eyes. Jonathan was horrified but couldn't move. The entity focused on the eyes in the painting and absorbed them, then vanished. Since that day, the missing people in town were never found. Jonathan, on the other hand, could never return to his former self. Every night that dark entity appeared in his dreams, staring at him with the eyes that entered the painting. Now that mysterious portrait was Jonathan's nightmare, and he could never escape this curse. Jonathan refused to acknowledge being under the influence of the dark entity and struggled to return to his old life. A priest attempted to help him, suggesting a charm to break the curse. Jonathan started working on the painting, drawing a new face in place of the eyes. But when he finished, the priest warned him. This new face was the embodiment of the darkness within him. A group of dream hunters visiting the town heard about Jonathan's situation and decided to help. Venturing into the dream world, they sought the dark entity within the painting. However, the entity captured the dream hunters one by one. Eventually, only Jonathan and the most experienced hunter remained. However, the final struggle with the entity began to manifest in the real world. Jonathan discovered an old legend in the depths of the town. It was said that painters transferred their souls into their paintings. This legend unveiled that the dark entity actually originated from the soul of a painter. In the past, Jonathan delved into the origins of the entity, attempting to unravel the past story to release it. The town seemed trapped in a fragmented reality, using his connection with the entity inside the painting. Jonathan began traveling between these shattered worlds, finding different versions of himself in different realities. Jonathan attempted to discern which reality held the true essence. In an ancient library deep within the town, Jonathan discovered an old painting resembling his own. This painting, crafted centuries ago by another artist, also contained the same dark entity. Following the clues from this painting, Jonathan embarked on a journey to trace the entity's path through history. Jonathan realized that the dark entity was seizing the souls within the paintings. These souls were imparting the skills and traces of old artists to him. However, these powers made it challenging for him to combat the darkness within. Jonathan had to find a way to release these souls. While the dark entity gained strength within the painting's realm, A glimmer of hope grew within Jonathan. This light within him could potentially be the entity's weakness. Jonathan attempted to explore this inner light to find a way to break the entity's power. Jonathan acknowledged the truth that the entity was affecting him and devised a plan to end this curse. Yet each attempt led to a different outcome than the previous one. Feeling trapped in a time loop, Jonathan struggled to understand the true nature of the curse and how to break it. Jonathan encountered another painter grappling with a similar curse. Together, they started devising a strategy to confront the dark entity, collaborating by merging different art forms and creativity. The painters sought a joint solution to defeat the entity. Jonathan could no longer distinguish between dreams and reality. Clues from his dreams manifested in the real world. This blurred line between reality and dreams complicated his struggle with the dark entity, making the battle more intricate. Jonathan encountered the entity in the dream world and discovered that it was actually the leader of dreams. This entity was controlling dreams, impacting the real world as well. Using the power within the realm of dreams, Jonathan began devising a plan to break the entity's influence in the real world. Jonathan understood that the entity actually represented a sacred power within art. This entity within the paintings was a universal energy of art and controlling. It could potentially be the key to breaking the entity's curse. Jonathan delved into the depths of art to release this power. Jonathan discovered that the spirits of the town's past inhabitants were still lingering around. These spirits were attempting to convey to him the nature of the entity and his connection to it. Jonathan began listening to these spirits of the past and engaging with them to find a way to defeat the entity. The dark entity within Jonathan had actually emerged from an emotion hidden within his art. Jonathan decided to confront this darkness within his heart. By discovering the light and love within him, he attempted to break the entity's curse. Jonathan realized that the entity was actually a bridge between parallel universes. In these parallel worlds, he found different versions of himself living in different times and conditions. Jonathan attempted to understand the true nature of the entity and why it existed among these parallel worlds. Jonathan decided to break the entity's curse by subjecting his soul to a trial. Embarking on a spiritual journey, he encountered different soulful obstacles. By overcoming these hurdles, he attempted to confront his inner darkness and defeat the entity. Jonathan attempted to trace the entity's footsteps through the town's hidden legends. These legends contained clues about the true nature of the entity, its origins, and how it could be vanquished. Following the clues within these legends, Jonathan tried to unravel the entity's secrets. Jonathan's destiny was intertwined with his struggle against the entity. However, he realized that by fighting his destiny and altering it, he could break the entity's influence. Jonathan tried to rewrite his own destiny to break the entity's hold. Jonathan felt trapped within a closure in the dream world. This closure seemed to be a kind of trap, connecting him to the entity. Jonathan attempted to unravel this dream trap to free himself from both the dream world and the entity's influence. Jonathan discovered that the entity's secret was connected to infinity. Infinity lay at the core of its connection. Jonathan attempted to unravel the secret of this infinity to put an end to the entity's curse. Jonathan found himself trapped in a dimension where echoes of his past actions repeated endlessly. Each echo seemed to be a clue to break free from the entity's grip. Jonathan had to navigate through these echoing shadows to find the key that would sever the entity's connection. An ancient painting revealed a prophecy foretelling Jonathan's encounter with the entity. Symbols and cryptic messages hidden within the artwork hinted at a ritual that could either banish the entity or strengthen its hold. Jonathan embarked on a quest to decode the painted prophecy. Within the town, there existed a mysterious gallery rumored to house paintings crafted by those who encountered the entity. Each painting held a fragment of truth about the entity's nature and its vulnerability. Jonathan ventured into this enchanted gallery, seeking answers to weaken the entity's power. Jonathan discovered that the entity's power thrived on the emotional spectrum present in dreams. Fear, love, anger. Each emotion had a different effect on the entity. He delved into the depths of his dreams, attempting to manipulate these emotions to weaken the entity's influence. Time seemed to bend and twist around Jonathan, creating a paradoxical loop. The entity's curse was intricately connected to this time paradox. Jonathan had to navigate through these temporal loops, hoping to find a loophole that could sever the entity's grasp. Jonathan uncovered that the entity was tied to the elements: earth, air, fire, and water. Each element resonated with a different facet of the entity's power. He sought to harmonize these elements in a symphony aiming to disrupt the entity's equilibrium. An enigmatic oracle possessed visions of Jonathan's plight. Her cryptic messages hinted at a ritual that could weaken the entity's presence. Jonathan embarked on a quest guided by the oracle's visions, attempting to decipher the ritual and break free from the entity's grasp. Jonathan found himself in a labyrinthine world inside the painting, a maze of corridors and chambers representing his subconscious. Each turn held memories and fragments of his psyche. Navigating this labyrinth, he sought to unearth the key memory that bound him to the entity. Reality seemed distorted as Jonathan realized he was caught in a series of illusions crafted by the entity. Each illusion posed a challenge, concealing the truth behind veils of deception. Jonathan had to unravel these illusions, to pierce through the veil and confront the entity. Jonathan discovered a legend speaking of a mythical phoenix, an entity capable of rebirth from its ashes. This legend hinted at a ritual involving the essence of rebirth that might sever the entity's ties. Jonathan embarked on a journey to unlock the secrets of the Phoenix's ascension. Jonathan stumbled upon an ancient manuscript hidden in the town's archives. The manuscript contained forgotten incantations and rituals to banish entities like the one haunting him. Jonathan embarked on a quest to decipher and perform these forgotten rites. An enchanted mirror within the town's museum held secrets of the entity's origins. The reflections within this mirror realm revealed the entity's beginnings and its vulnerability. Jonathan entered this mirror realm, seeking to unravel the truth hidden in its reflections. Whispers of an ethereal symphony echoed through the town, a melody capable of disrupting the entity's hold. Each note resonated with a different aspect of the entity's essence. Jonathan sought the scattered pieces of this symphony, hoping to orchestrate its power against the entity.